Well, good evening, and thank you for tuning in to another week with Fathers Who Care. We are on fire. You know, we are believing in the work that we're doing, and we're here tonight to share with you some information. And of course, you're going to get a chance to meet one of my buddies here, Carlos. But this week, we want to talk about specifically men empowering men while engaging and enlightening our future leaders. You know, we thought that was a good topic for today. And not only that, we're bridging the gap between the West Side and the South Side. We're also bridging the intergenerational gap between young folks and older folks. We're also bridging the cultural gaps between African Americans and Latinx. So we're doing our due diligence to let those of you who are watching us to know that tonight that together we stand, divided we fall. And we truly believe at Fathers Who Care that any man that's physically capable can make a baby, but it takes a real man to be a father. And we want those of you who are watching us today to sit back, relax. If you're interested in doing some activities in the community, give us a call at Fathers Who Care at 773-287-5821. Again, the number is 773-287-5821, or you can log on to fatherswhocare.org or some of those other social media platforms that the young folks be working on. They're trying to teach me how to follow all of that stuff, and I'm trying my best. My patience get thin sometimes with a lot of it, so I'll be doing my due diligence to try to at least stay true to some of the social media. I'm watching YouTube now. I'm watching some of them, not a lot, of the TikTok, because I can't quite get it yet.
Don't go down that rabbit hole.
No, I can't get it yet. It's too much going on for me.
Yes, me
but
too.
Then, you know, but anyway, thank you again for tuning in tonight. We want to make sure that you understand that this show is really dedicated to dispel those negative myths about fathers, particularly fathers in the lives of their children. We want those who are watching us to know tonight that if there's a father out there, if you know a father out there and he wants to be actively involved in some community activities, we want you to let him know to give us a call at Fathers Who Care. We're really trying to do our due diligence to keep men empowered, keep men actively involved as leaders in our communities. We do believe that when real men stand up, little boys sit down. And we really, really believe in the power of us. We believe in teamwork. We believe that all together we can make a difference. And right now, Carlos, in this day and age, all I think we really need in our communities is more love. I think if people would just get away from that selfishness, and come together and let's pool our resources. Let's bring our young people back together. Let's expose them to some of the finer things in life. Bring them downtown.
Yes.
Let them experience the Buckingham Fountain. Bring them downtown. Let them go to the Magnificent Mile. Let them experience some of the things going on up and down Lakeshore Drive. I'm sure once these young people experience that, they won't be coming downtown to tear it up. They'll be coming downtown to be empowered.
I love that.
All right?
Yes.
But when you don't give them anything to do, then, you know, someone else would get in touch with them or give them they're doing these Texas now, you know. Right. And then they meet up. I think they call them the gatherings or something. I forget. You know, some kind of, something they be calling it. I'll find out when I ask my granddaughter. But I could have swore they was calling it the get together or something crazy like that. But anyway, I want you all, those who are tuning in tonight, to meet our guest. Our guest, of course, is Carlos Rodriguez. And Carlos would definitely introduce himself as to who he is and what he does over at WestCare Illinois. But Carlos and I are working on some activities in our communities, and we're doing one of those things that people dream of doing. We're collaborating.
That's right.
We're empowering, engaging each other, and we're really doing our best to make sure that our young people are provided with the best that we can possibly provide for them. So, Carlos, you are the project manager, director of the SPIF program,
right?
Partnering for Success. And you are committed to doing what? What is your mission, Carlos, and why are you so compassionate in the work that you are doing? Just tell me that, would you please?
I will. Well, first let me start with lifting you up and give you gratitude. I think I would not be in a position to be able to help our communities had I not had a lot of proper guidance from you. And
I appreciate that.
And I honestly am saying that.
I value the friendship.
Thank you.
I really do. I value the friendship. It's been meaningful.
Yeah. So I think, you know, the question of where we derive our passion, you know, I mean, I think if you would have asked me when I was 15 years old that same question, I would have said, I want to be the best baseball player in the world, right? I was just bowled over by the Cincinnati Reds then, right? And then when I turned 18, all of a sudden I'm like, well, there ain't no way I'm going to be a baseball player. These guys are too good. Actually, honestly, I got a tryout with the Cincinnati Reds when they came through town, because I played at a pretty high level in high school.
Okay.
But then all of a sudden I started noticing the disparities and injustices in our community.
Right.
And I recognize it. Oh, I've got to do something about this. So my mother, who had a huge heart, saw that immigrant workers were being treated terribly, and she said, son, we have to do something. I didn't know what to do, but we talked to different people, and we set up something called the Albuquerque Border Cities Project to monitor the abuses of the immigration services. Can you imagine? I'm 19 years old, not 3-4 years away from wanting to be a baseball player, and now I'm caught up with this thing that's bigger than myself.
Right. So do you believe you are purpose-driven?
Yeah, I believe I'm purpose-driven. I think that this recognition of the humanity in other people, and you know as well as I do, you've got to love people to do this work, right? Well, you and I can see beyond behaviors and see behind it and where these things derive, right? Our neighborhoods, our communities are traumatized. We have years of systemic racism and poverty. Well, what do you expect's going to happen?
Well,
so
I must admit it. I'm traumatized.
Okay, yeah. So we want to be able to educate people, and then, as you say, pull ourselves together, right? There's a lot of beautiful men I've run into, which we're going to talk about later on tonight.
Absolutely,
so,
absolutely.
So that just need to be connected, and so that they recognize it. They're not alone. That we're going to do it together. That makes sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. But I'm gonna come back with you on that, because I do know that some folks when they have a passion for the work, and some folks do the work because they get paid to do it. I really love what I do. I mean, this is not a job for trying to get rich. It is actually a labor of love for me.
Yes, sir.
And I do it because I love it. But trust me, this job gives you gray hair. Because you be so involved in trying to make sure that you can be everything to everybody.
Yes.
And you're definitely, when you're committed to these young people come to the table with a lot of issues. And what I want to do and what I strive to do with my team is to have my team to be compassionate to who they are and where they come from, and do what we can to empower them and to bring additional resources into their lives, to expose them, if you will, because that's what they need. I mean, most of them, the worst of the worst, but when they come in, you can feel it. You can feel that their hearts are open, that they're ready to embark upon something new. It's just unfortunately that the programs last for so many hours, and then they have to go back into those environments to which they come from. But we try to do our due diligence when we have them, to take them to different places, to expose them to different ways of life, and to improve their quality of life. But I'm going to ask you this simple question. If you had to define yourself with one word, what would that word be?
I think I would say authentic.
Authentic.
Yeah, you're going to get what you see. So here I am in the studio with you tonight, Rev. The young people are going to know they're going to get the same person when I'm with them, right? I'm going to brag on you one more time here. This is an
I don't
honest
get
story.
that often, so
This is an honest
bear
story.
with me. Bear with me.
So I stopped by Fathers Who Care a few weeks ago, and there were about 16 young people there, and they were sitting around chopping it up, having a good time, laughing and things, and obviously it put a smile on my face, right? And so I just pulled one of the young men to the side. I said, what is it about coming here that makes you smile? I just noticed that you were smiling. He smiled again, and I said, no, I'm serious. I really want to hear you. He said that people here care about me. As simple as that, right? You think about it, if we could organize whole groups of people that really honestly cared about folks, how quickly we could heal things, right?
Right.
But it is going to, as we say, it's going to take a village, right?
Well, absolutely, and Carlos, that's true. It's hard to find people. Seriously, it's really hard to find people who really have a heart for the young people.
Yeah.
particularly if you know, if you're not really rooted for this work,
Yeah.
if you haven't really submitted yourself to doing this work, this ain't for you.
Oh, they're gonna smell it.
Yeah, and
They're gonna know,
and
right?
they're gonna be gone, right?
Yeah.
Because the young people, they know if you come into them and if you're authentic.
Mm-hmm.
That word, authentic. They know when you're authentic and they know when you're not. I have an issue. My issue is I try to learn their languages.
Okay.
And I do that because I like to know what they're saying.
Right.
And so I write that down. When they say certain things, I write it down.
Good for you, because I always they laugh at me because I said I'm always 2000 and late. You know,
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know that old song from the old
Yeah,
days. They're like,
yeah.
they know what I'm talking about. I said,
Right.
I have no idea what you just said. You got to
Yeah.
translate.
But tell me about this, the mission and purpose behind the SPIF, the Partner for Success Initiative.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me about that.
So we were given this really nice grant in 2020 to be able to partner with you and another partner on the south side of Chicago to bring prevention, the prevention message to young people in our various communities, specifically in West Garfield Park and then around the Grand Boulevard corridor. As fate would have it, as we know, COVID hit, and our government project officer says, go out to all the communities if you can, if you feel like you would do that. So, so the job is really to do a lot of prevention work in the communities, dig in, do community needs assessments to see what people need, and then hopefully after the 5 years, we've made Fathers Who Care, as one of our partners, a stronger organization, and they're in a better position than they were when they started. That's why we call it Partners for Success, right? You know, I'm really happy that we met Fathers Who Care, because Fathers Who Care is uniquely positioned in the community. It meets people where they're at. The Reverend is connected to so many different schools and community members, and it just made sense that we would do bring all kinds of resources to it. So that's what it is in a nutshell.
Right.
As you know,
The focus is on.
Yeah, right. It focuses on young people.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's what you and I, why we really liked each other from the beginning, is we were laser focused on how do we bring these resources to young people. He's going to talk later on of it, but I'm going to go ahead and say it, is that he does these amazing creative things to try to get young people engaged, right? Whether it's doing internship programs where he teaches job skills training to the kids, challenging them on their thinking about what it is to deal with conflict in the community. Needless to say, we have fun too. He'll be probably talking about the little yachting that we'll be doing. By the way, we have a cool background, so yeah, we'll be
Yeah, it's
out
tight.
on
Yeah.
we'll be out on Lake Michigan this Sunday, right?
Absolutely.
And so
Absolutely.
so trying to engage them in all their senses, right? I think that's a real prevention method, of course, and then loving them, right? I think people get afraid of using that word, but we have to be brave as fathers and men to be able to say, hey, I really love you. And I love you, and I want to take an interest in your life. Tell me more.
Mm-hmm. So you took me right to the next question. You talked about fatherhood, and you're talking about loving on each other and loving our children.
Yeah.
So why are fathers so important in the lives of their children, and why are fathers so important in the lives of others? Why?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think about it a lot. You know, being a father like you, I think that we probably learned maybe from our elders a little bit. I think if I could say one thing for sure is proper guidance, right? Sometimes when I look back at my upbringing, I keep thinking of these men that just pop up in my mind, right? I had wonderful uncles that surrounded me with love. They taught me all kinds of things, right? I watched them model behavior with women, right? My grandfather, who when my own father came back from Vietnam and he was struggling a little bit with alcohol, I could get proper guidance and help from him. I could go to him as somebody that I could trust, and so I think that inoculated me, so to say, vaccinated me against having other problems. Right? We already know too, and this man has the most wonderful daughters and grandkids, is that we know that a father in the life of a daughter can prevent a lot of terrible things happening to them, right? Just by our own scientific research, we know that. But I think the other piece, which we shouldn't back away from, is we are stronger. We have a bigger responsibility in our community to lift things up, right? And I think we have to educate ourselves more about not only how to use that power, but also how to embrace the feminine energy out there too, because we need our women too to be able to work together.
Absolutely. There would be no men without women.
Right, exactly.
And women help to keep us grounded, to keep us focused, to keep us lifted. And so we want to thank all of you women out there. I want to thank my gorgeous wife out there. Thank you, darling, for all you do.
I love
for
it.
allowing me to get out here in this community and do all of the work that I do.
Yeah.
And then allow me to come home and relax and be at peace. Even though I know sometimes it'd be kind of tedious dealing with a man who's always out here laboring in the community. But thank you for your patience, all right?
I love that statement.
Yeah.
Can I say one more thing too?
Sure.
As I was thinking when I mentioned my grandfather's name, I always had the love of my mom and my aunts, right, and my grandmothers, right. They embraced me a lot. They gave me a lot of real affection. But for some reason, when my grandfather and my uncles would sit down and talk to me, it put me in a different direction, right. I've told the Reverend this before, but growing up in a Mexican American household. There were a lot of sayings that they would give up. We call them proverbs, right? In Spanish, we
Absolutely,
say dichos.
that's what we call them, proverbs.
Right. And they would teach us. So I had written one down, like for example, when my son was born, I went to my mom's dad, my grandpa. We call him abuelo or abuelito, and I asked him, "Can you give me some consejos, some advice about how to raise?" my son, because you did such a great job with my aunts and my uncle." And he thought for a moment, and he was scratching his face, and then he said, "You were born with 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason." So basically, listen more than talk.
Absolutely.
And he was a little guy too. He's 5'2". He's like my little Mexican Yoda, I called him, because he was so wise, and he had a third grade education, but he recognized that he had to play a special role, and we have to recognize this as men. We have a role.
So I want to come back and talk to you now about one of the missions that we are both committed to, and that mission is to engage and empower our young people,
Yes,
right?
sir.
So what we're doing in that endeavor is we're trying to engage them to kind of, hopefully, in our own way, prevent some negative behaviors in their lives or influences in their lives. So we're basically trying to create in them a self or an awareness of themselves that they would not go out there and get caught up in the wrong circles.
Right.
So we're currently doing some things with them like peace circles and Zoom meeting, our weekly Zoom meetings and in-person meetings, as you alluded to, the peer leadership groups and
Getting into the schools. And
getting into the
having
schools
groups,
and
yes,
having groups, but also allowing these young people to know that they're special. So what are you actually doing in these schools with we all know what you do, but for those who don't know, what's happening in these schools that we're doing to engage these young people?
Yeah, this is where it is a labor of love, right? What we do is we meet the kids where they're at. We let them know that we have this volunteer group, that you don't have to be in it, but we tell them we'd like you to come and try it. If you don't like it, you don't have to be there. We call them sacred spaces that we set up. We've set up in 9 alternative high schools here in Chicago, right? And what we do is we basically use that sacred talking circle to run our groups, right? We set up space where they come up with agreements about how to have a group. We'd let them know that they can talk about any topic. We do have something called the 7 Challenges. It is a framework for them, so they'll know that as adults, we have the responsibility to challenge them on certain behaviors, but we're not going to tell them what to do. That's a really important point.
Let them be themselves.
Yeah.
But giving them structure.
Yeah. A lot of time, some adults, for whatever reason, they get into this thing where they talk down to a young person instead of talking with and engaging them. We let them guide the conversations, right? But here's the thing. And this is the key to it. And, any person that loves working with young people who's really good at it knows this is key, is that it's just not the group work that's going to move the kid. You've got to be present for them outside of the group too. So I have a couple of resource specialists that will help them work, find jobs, develop a resume, right? If they have families that are struggling with different issues around housing or food or clothing, we're Johnny on the spot. We're doing that. One of our schools was so excited that that we were doing that they were struggling with kids showing up to school. We went to do house visits, and really simple things too. We brought books to them. We brought some snacks, and just say, hey, checking on you. Want to make sure you were all right. Oh, they're like, it's almost like you're paying attention to me. Yeah, so we do things like that. And then of course the other key piece, and the focus though is that for me is that how can I connect them with folks like you, right? We're always coming in saying, hey, by the way, did you know that this is what's going on at this group called Fathers Who Care? Yeah, these are some fun things that we do. And I mentioned what the Reverend's up to. Immediately people are like, right away, how do I get there? What can I do? Right.
Yeah. And we do refer individuals to each other.
Yeah. So surrounding them with a variety of, again, adults that care about them.
Options.
Yeah. It's almost simple.
Absolutely.
But you got to be there all the time though, and you got to be true to your word, and you have to be consistent.
So again, you're watching Fathers Who Care, and we want you to know that it's, we are trying to do what we can to make a difference. We do believe that the reason young people are doing some of the things they're doing because they got too much time on their hands, and that they need some structured programs. No, we don't know everything. No, we ain't perfect on everything. However, we are available, all right? We are available, we're committed, we're consistent. And we've been doing the work for many, many years, and people come and people go. Young people have come in and young people have left. We understand the dynamics of life. It brings about change. Change is inevitable. You can't stop it. But Carlos, tell me, if someone is interested in becoming involved in some of the work that you're doing, or want to volunteer and become a mentor in some of the work we're doing, or participate and possibly referring some young people to us, who could they contact?
Yeah, you can contact me, or you can contact the Reverend. You can call WestCare at 312-568-7051, or you can even call my work cell phone number, which is 312-504-7263. We want you to call us. We want you to volunteer. We have so many things to do. Actually, we're doing paperwork on a person right now who wants to volunteer, and I'm excited to have that, because we say the more hands, the less work, right? And I think you would agree that the two of us want to mentor people into that kind of work.
Lord knows we need them. But anyway, you're watching Fathers Who Care. You can log into our website at fatherswhocare.org, or you can give us a call at 312. Forgive me, the wrong number, 773-550-3556, or 773-287-5821. But again, Carlos, so let's talk about it.
Yes.
In your opinion, what are young people looking for? What are they looking for?
Yeah, well, for me, I think being grounded in an authentic relationship with an adult, right? Somebody to listen to, right? There's so much that happens in a young person's life, especially growing up in this country, in our communities that we serve, right? That's got to be the first step, right? Somebody who cares about me, right? Somebody to listen. It's so interesting, because you and I have run into a lot of different people that have different programs, and I'm not downing any of those programs. I think they're really good, but it's usually something that's imposed on the young people, right, as opposed to something that comes from them, right?
Well, I want to thank you. We got about a minute left. We want to give you another opportunity to let folks know what organization that you're representing, and if they're interested in learning more about some of the mentoring programs, some of the leadership programs, some of the programs that's going on through WestCare, or our collaborative with the Partners for Success. They can give you a call at where?
Yeah, you can call me again at WestCare. You can actually go to westcare.com. You can look up that on the internet. And the phone number is 312-568-7051.
Listen, we want to thank you all for the work that you're doing. And if no one has told you, we're going to tell you. God bless you. Keep up the good work. You know, it's not in vain. We know it's hard sometimes to get to these young people, but somebody got to do it. So we have taken on that challenge to be that light for these young people, that we can make sure that they can be the best that they can be. So we want to thank you again. Let's keep on loving on each other. God bless you, and keep the faith. We'll see you soon. Good night.
Good night.